Your Excellency, Honorable Rachel Amamo, Cabinet Secretary and Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Honorable Kariko Tobiko, Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Environment and Forestry, distinguished representatives of the IGAD Committee of Ambassadors, representatives of our mother organization, the African Union, and the sister REC, the East African Community, members of the diplomatic corps and representatives of IGAD bilateral and multilateral partners, dear IGAD colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols are observed. I begin my remarks, Your Excellencies, this morning by sincerely thanking His Excellency Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, a great leader of our country and champion of our regional integration agenda, for the unwavering support to IGAD and a strong commitment to tackle climate change. Your Excellencies, cautiously note issued yesterday that Africa's GDP may reduce by 30% in 2050 due to climate change is sobering news indeed. I would also like to thank the government and people of Kenya for their generous donation of the 10 acres of land that this facility sits up. Our gratitude also extends to you for supporting and hosting IGAD Climate Prediction and Application Center for the last 32 years, since its inception at the Drought Monitoring Center in 1989, and thereafter its subsequent evolution into ICPAC in 2007. Excellencies, Honorable Cabinet Ministers, distinguished guests, and ladies and gentlemen, climate change has emerged as one of the most topical and simultaneously the most divisive issue of our time. And similar to the uneven response to coronavirus pandemic, discourse regarding climate change has been overshadowed by partisan perspectives, interests, and preferences at the expense of undeniable facts and irrefutable evidences. We have seen how doubt and denial of the existence of the coronavirus has cost countless lives and taken a drastic toll on entire society. Simultaneously, Your Excellencies, rejection of the existence of the impact of climate change will cost us not just our health, but our home at the human race. And I would like to emphasize that we do not have a spare planet in which we will seek refuge once we have succeeded in destroying the planet that we are living in. Climate change is a problem because a global village. We have been unable to agree on how to collectively address the problem. In other words, the weather is changing faster than the policies and actions we can formulate to respond to it. But perhaps the biggest obstacle we face in tackling climate change lies within ourselves. In this because it requires each one of us to make deliberate, far-reaching changes in attitude, lifestyle, and perhaps even aspirations. What most regrettable in this current climate change discourse is that the focus is on either shifting blame to whoever is considered to be the most responsible for degrading the planet or engaging in disaster Olympics, competing to whom has been most affected. What is being ignored is that climate change is impassive, indiscriminate, and universally disempowering. It will neither recognize nor respect the status of size, wealth, or even military power of any given country. At the same time, it is undeniable that the African continent is one of the front lines of climate change. The sixth scientific assessment report released by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, in August 2021 confirms that Africa is warming much faster than the global average, but is also the lowest contributor to the greenhouse gas emissions. In fact, projections show that the IGAD region is set to be heat up twice as fast as the rest of the world. But this does not in any way minimize or negate the vulnerability of other parts of the world to the effect of climate change, including desertification, rising of sea levels, coastal erosion, wildfires, shrinking ice caps, and flooding. For us here in IGAD region, Your Excellencies, our economies and livelihoods are highly sensitive to climate variability and change. This is because of, as people, we are highly dependent on rain-fed agriculture, pastoralism, and other forms of eco-dependency. Allow me to also point out that hydrometeorological hazards account for about 90% of naturally induced disasters in IGAD region. These disasters are getting more frequent and intense affections millions of people in our region. As we speak, intense flooding has displaced over 700,000 people in South Sudan this year alone and affected over 6 million of us in this region last year. Remarkably, at the same time, severe drought is affecting Kenya, Ethiopia, and Somalia, threatening the food security situation for the millions of our brothers and sisters in our region. This is on the top of challenges we have been facing with regard to desertification, the recent desert locust invasion, and the impact of coronavirus pandemic on our ecology and economics. It truly feels like we are facing a situation of days by 1,000 cuts, but in this case, climate deserts are a self-infected wound. If we are to take our region as a model for the rest of the world, it becomes evident that the climate change and extreme weather are global security concerns because they act as threat for all of us. Your Excellencies, Honorable Cabinet Ministers, distinguished participants, we now have the opportunity of a lifetime to turn around the greatest threat of our existence into our greatest opportunity for endurance and survival. We still have the chance to adopt appropriate and innovative approach for the climate change mitigation and adoption. For IGAD in particular, this region with early warning for early action. IGAD further advocates for the enhancement of climate service to support policy formulation and decision making, as well as adoption of strategies and mechanisms. In this regard, the climate information must be a forefront of policy and decision processes to build the resilience of communities and ecosystem. ICPAC, which we are opening officially today by government of Kenya and leaders of Kenya, is a center of excellence of the World Meteorological Organization, is well placed to provide impact-based climate forecast to enable users to all levels to make informal and formal, well-informed decisions. IGAD is also drafting a climate change strategy that aims to promote a climate resilience and green economy in the region. As a consequence, ICPAC needs to be strengthened toward discharging this role. Your Excellencies, let me note at this juncture that we need to move that climate financing to mitigate and reverse climate change. It requires all of us to begin making a climate-conscious attitude of change. Financial transfer to developing countries on the front lines of climate change are most welcome in the short term. But the gains we expect from adoption and mitigation measures will be quickly eroded if we don't adapt the change that attitudes practices and root causes that are driving climate change are environmental degradation over the long term. In conclusion, Your Excellencies, I would like to thank our development partners, including USAID, World Bank, and AFDB, the European Union, NORCAP, UNDP, and the World Meteorological Organization, among others, for the support extended to ICPAC and IGAD, and the construction and equipping this new Office of the State of Art and Laboratories. Our gratitude also goes to the UK government for providing the supercomputing capacity that is driving climate modeling in this region. This support has enabled ICPAC to facilitate access to National Meteorological Service of our member states in this region to have reliable national climate change. And most importantly, we are very thankful for the government and the people of Kenya. I thank you very much.